Today in class, we're going to be talking, shifting to a new topic and talking about what happened after the Middle Ages. We're going to talk about three main things, the Enlightenment, first the Renaissance, then the Scientific Revolution. We'll do Renaissance and then Enlightenment and then Scientific Revolution, and other revolutions as well. So let's start with the Renaissance. The Renaissance, we're going to spend like 3 minutes on. Usually I spend more time than that, but we don't have the time. So I'm just going to kind of summarize it to you guys. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the Renaissance before. If you have, you might have heard it like something to do with, people back then. But you may have heard of people like Michelangelo, Beethoven, Shakespeare. All of this artistry came out in the Renaissance. Basically what happened is during the Middle Ages, they're like, life's not that great, not very awesome. We've been through some hard times, some dark times. The Dark Ages happened during the Middle Ages. Things have not been that great, and things have not been really fair. We're just kind of sick of all this hard times for us. So they're looking for an escape, and their escape was the same thing that a lot of people go to for their escape, and that is art. So paintings, drawings, music, theater, all sculptures, all sorts of artwork came out of the Renaissance. What Renaissance means is rebirth. So it's basically like this rebirth of art and culture into our lives, rather than the dreary all day long. We do the same thing all day long, but it kind of just breaks us out of this monotonous tone of what we've been going through and gives us something relaxing, or something that we can put our passion towards. So that was really a great thing that allowed people to kind of relax. And this is kind of foreshadowing, but it kind of gives people time to think, which brings us into the Enlightenment, which we'll talk about today as well. So that's basically my summary, if you will, of the Renaissance. It put us in the position for people to just start thinking and relaxing and be able to think about, okay, well, what did I not like about what was going on earlier, the Middle Ages? They didn't call it Middle Ages yet. What did I not like that was happening there? Why am I seeking this escape in this artwork? Why are we seeking this rebirth of our cultures? And so they started thinking. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard someone say, please enlighten me, or I'd like to enlighten you on this. If you've ever heard of someone saying, please enlighten me, usually they say it sarcastically, but please enlighten me basically is saying, please teach me or educate me. That's what enlighten means. So we're going to tap in now to the Enlightenment. Enlightenment is basically this education, a thinking, if you will. People started really deep thinking during the Enlightenment. They brought all sorts of awesome things that really changed the world, and you'll understand how the Enlightenment changed the world after we're done talking about it. But so in the Enlightenment, people started thinking of three main things. Okay, first they started thinking about how to go about and do things better. For instance, and this is kind of, again, foreshadowing. When we talked about the Middle Ages, we talked about medicines and how they'd be like, oh yeah, you've got something living in your stomach, or like you need to sleep on your left side, like these random remedies and things to cure you that never really worked. But they didn't have any proof, right? That's our biggest issue with those things, is like, if you're gonna give someone some random remedy, where's the proof? How do you know that it actually works? They didn't know that then, because they didn't have the scientific method. The scientific method came out of the Enlightenment. And that's part of the scientific revolution, where people started thinking and having the scientific method, this process of trying to create things or figure things out. And that came from the Enlightenment. So people started thinking, okay, if I think that this is going to work, I should, okay, this is what I think is going to happen. I should test it out a few times, see what's going on, do my observations, right? And then, okay, did it work? Yes or no, why or why not? Change something else, try through it again. So this scientific method and all these inventions came out of the Enlightenment. And here's a little timeline of how the Enlightenment has basically changed the world. People started thinking deeper about things. So they brought up the scientific method, and the scientific revolution brought lots of inventions, which brought industry and manufacturing, which basically gave all of the world powers their power. We got our world power from our industry and manufacturing and building things in factories. That's where we got our power and might as a country. So that is humongous. Also, the Enlightenment, because people started thinking deeply, they started thinking about government. They started thinking about what people have, what people should do, what kind of power people really have. Should people who are rich really have that much power over people who are poor, or should they be equal? Yeah, I like that idea. People should be equal, because really at the time, like 97% of people were poor, and then 3% were really rich. It's more, the gap isn't so drastic today, but it's still pretty big, but not near as bad as it used to be. So they started deep thinking more. They started thinking, okay, well, how should governments really be ran? People should be equal. We shouldn't have a king who has all sorts of power. That's too much power. They could get, horrible. We should revolt against the king of England, because he's taking over our powers. And then we have the American Revolution, and the rest is history. So there's two instances right there of how these huge changes, especially how the US is seen in the world, all started from the Enlightenment, and people starting to think, deep thinking, and actually analyzing, okay, why? What is the purpose? What does it mean? What is a better way? What is a more fair way? So that's what the Enlightenment is all about, is just better thinking. And it brought about awesome things that are happening. One of the best things that happened of the Enlightenment was, and the scientific revolution, because they are basically the same time, was the invention of the printing press. So the printing press is basically what we use to print newspapers and books. Before the printing press, if you wanted to have a copy of a book, you would have to handwrite it. Now imagine how many books you would have in your house if you had to handwrite everything. I'd probably have a few children's books. I would definitely not have any novels in my house. I would only have very little tiny books, because that would just be painful and agonizing to just rewrite books all the time. That would be a bad job. I do not want that job. One of the best benefits of the printing press is that by having books and pamphlets and newspapers actually being sent out to people, rather than, basically the clergy and the people in the church who had the education to be able to read and write. Basically, they're the only ones who did read and write, and nobody else had access to anything that was any printed documents, any books, pamphlets, nothing that was written. Now the printing press, now all those other people can have access to information and actually be educated. Another reason why people started inventing more and thinking about things more, because more people were educated. More people were educated because of the printing press, because they had more access to these books. It's really kind of funny how in history, we'll see all these events that are happening, but really it's just like dominoes, where one event helps cause the next event, which causes the next event. Just like those things I talked about with the Enlightenment, how they cause each thing to happen and turn into what we have today. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do an assignment on the printing press. There's a little bit of a reading that you will have, And let me show you where it's at. So what you guys are going to do is you guys are, each of you are going to go to the modules and scroll down to the bottom. You'll see a new module called Renaissance and Enlightenment, even though we don't have any Renaissance assignments in here. You're going to click on the printing press, December 1st, the printing press. And this is what you're going to be doing. So what I want you to do is, there we go. Here's your assignment. You're going to read it. Okay, it's just a one page, well, basically one page about how the printing press changed history, kind of giving more detail to what I just told you guys to kind of really cement it in. And then it's got a list of chronology about Gutenberg, because he's the person who invented the printing press. And then it has 10 questions. These 10 questions are the questions you need to answer right here. And then this is just to, this part right here with the maps, this is just a resource to look at. Take a look at how many printing presses they get. How many cities have printing presses? So 1450 to 1500. It's really a huge change. I mean, within 50 years, it has just exploded because of how amazing it was and how much it changed the world. So we're gonna take about 20 minutes here. You're gonna go to this assignment, you're gonna read this one-page article, and then you're gonna answer these 10 questions on that second page, okay? As you read through, if you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll go from there. So when you are done, please turn it in, and I will be able to see who is done by who has turned it in. So turn it in as soon as you're done, and then wait patiently, because once everybody has it turned in, then we're gonna move on to talking more about the Enlightenment. Okay, everybody shift back to the Zoom screen real quick, regardless of if you are one of the ones done or not. If you are done, please get that submitted, turn that in, okay? So that can be graded, that is due today. And if not, finish that as soon as possible and get that turned in. Also, if you didn't see my chat, reminder to turn in your meme assignment if you didn't turn it in from yesterday. So if you have any questions with that, let me know. So again, make sure you're looking at the Zoom screen. I'm gonna show you what your homework is, basically. You guys are going to do the Enlightenment summary. That is what your homework is over the next couple days. So this video right here is optional to help you understand it better, but you do not have to watch it, but it is there if you want to for extra help on the Enlightenment. Basically, you're going to read this summary on the Enlightenment, and you're going to create your own summary of it. So if you look at the top of the directions, it says, as you read, I want you to highlight the main points for each section. So this is a section, this is a section, this is a section, this is a section. There's 6 total. So you're gonna highlight one main point for each of those six sections that you believe are the most important to understanding and what the Enlightenment is all about. Then you're gonna write your own summary, including the information that you highlighted, okay? Don't copy it, you're not copying it, you're gonna write it in your own words, your own summary, but you're gonna use the information that you highlight, okay? So this is practicing, you know, reading, finding most important parts or the things that really define what the Enlightenment is. And then you're gonna include that in your summary, you know, paragraph summary that you'll have on the second page here. Okay, that is what your homework is over the next couple days. So does anybody have any questions as to what you need to do today or over the next couple days? Okay, if nobody has any questions, you're free to go. And we'll, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on Monday.